let's make sure that we ended on the right note with our water. Everyone can have their cup of water up. Dean's got one, Mr. Hydration all the time. And I want to just say, starting off with thanks to each of you for giving your time and your energy to join us and to participate in what we think is as important as anything we can do in our lives. It is to be caring about our planet and our environment, and then each other in our community. So cheers to water, which brings us together, and may we all respect and have gratitude for all the gifts that water brings to us. Cheers.
Cheers.
So Dean is a dear friend, longtime friend, and I'm going to let Dean tell his own story, but I will just tell you the story that Dean and I spoke about 45 minutes ago. And he wasn't quite sure why I invited him to come to speak to you all and what he was going to say. And what surprised me, I knew it, but it surprised me so much, was Dean said, you know, Stu, I'm really an introvert. And I really don't like to, you know, talk about myself and get out there in front of groups. And I remembered you telling me that on your first book tour. And I was blown away because Dean is the most energized and expressive guy. And when he's in front of people, he just lights up to be able to share his story, which you will as well. So I share that with you all because I think you all have your own ways of being introverts. And, you know, we've been teasing you out to get you to talk and express yourself and share, and you've done a good job of it. And we look forward more of that happening. And today on our final session, we hope that you'll bust open that dam and express yourselves very fully in whatever you feel, think, and is on your mind and in your heart. And as you will see the link there for Dean, if you look at his website, you'll get a chance to see some details about Dean's accolades. And I will just say this, that Dean has an amazing ability to set a goal and achieve it and have no obstacles. He also is incredible how he has avoided being injured, where he has run, I don't know how many tens of thousands of miles he has run. He has basically done it without sustaining any injuries and not getting hit by cars, which most people running like he did would get hit by cars. So Dean's got his angels. They're looking out for him, thank goodness. And as you will hear his story, he has a brilliant way of being able to live his life's purpose and his passion, and to do it with joy and fulfillment and success. So I'm going to leave it at that and let Dean take it from here and share with you the Dean Karnazes story.
Hey, Stuart, thank you for that very gracious introduction. I promise you I'm not worthy of any of that. I still appreciate it. Hey, everyone, I'm Dean Karnazes, and I'm in a place called Marin County, which is Stuart's old stomping grounds. It's just north of San Francisco. So a bit about me. I grew up in Southern California on the beach, and I was a surfer from, boy, the earliest I can remember. When I was in diapers, I think I was in the water. I also was a runner, and I used to love to run as a little kid. And I ran competitively until I was a freshman in high school. We won the cross country championships, and I thought, okay, well, I've taken my running career as far as it's ever going to go. And I quit running at age 15. So I somehow graduated from high school. I don't know how I graduated from high school. And I really have no idea how I got into college, but somehow I got into college. I got a bachelor's degree in biology, and then I was too lazy to get a job. So I went to graduate school, and I got a master's degree in food science, food chemistry. And I was still too lazy to get a job, and I thought I needed a business degree. So then I got an MBA. And I was living in San Francisco. I had a very comfortable corporate job. You know, I had a company car. I had, you know, good stock options, you know, free healthcare, 401k matching, all the kind of things that everyone aspires for when you're in college. And on the night of my 30th birthday, I was in a bar in San Francisco doing what a lot of people do when they turn 30, and you guys will get there one day. But I was in there drinking with my buddies, and Stuart remembers the name of the bar. It was called the Paragon. And
I do.
at midnight, I told my friends, hey, I've had a change of plans. They said, what are you going to do? And I said, well, instead of having another round of tequila to celebrate, I'm going to go run 30 miles to celebrate. And they looked at me and they said, Dean, but you're not a runner. You're drunk. And I said, I know I am, but I'm still going to do it. So I literally walked out of a bar on my 30th birthday. I didn't even own running gear, but I had on these silk boxer shorts, these silk, jockey, basically silk underwear. And I'll never forget, I peeled off my pants and threw them down the alleyway and just started stumbling south into the night, knowing there's a city called Half Moon Bay that's 30 miles away. And I sobered up about 15 miles down the road, and I thought, what am I doing? This is the most ridiculous thing ever. But something just felt right. I looked up at the stars in the heavens, and I felt like for once I was kind of living my purpose. So I somehow ran straight through the night without sleep. And after about 8 hours, I arrived in Half Moon Bay, and I called my wife. She picked me up. I quit my job and decided I was going to become an ultra marathoner. Yes, we runners are not compulsive, are we? But so, what is an ultra marathoner? Well, ultra means beyond in Latin. So an ultra marathon is anything beyond a marathon. And some of you might know a marathon is 26.2 miles. An ultra marathon could be a 50-mile race, a 100-mile foot race, or even further than that. And the first time I heard about someone running 100 miles, I thought, over how many days? Where are the campgrounds along the way? And, where are the hotels? Where do you stay? And the guy said, no, the starting gun goes off and you just run. And hopefully within 24 hours, you cross the finish line. And I said, but where do you sleep? And he looked at me like, duh, you don't sleep, you run. And I said, where do when do you eat? And he said, well, you eat while you run. You do everything while you're moving forward. And I was just intrigued by it. And I thought, I have to try this. So I ran 100 miles and I somehow lived. And I thought that was kind of cool. It was more than I thought a horse could ever run. And it was certainly more than I ever enjoyed driving. So then I thought, what other races are there? And I learned about a 135-mile race across Death Valley in the middle of summer. And for those of you that don't know, Death Valley is the hottest place on earth. The temperature gets over 130 degrees. So I thought running 135 miles in that sort of furnace is really going to test me. And somehow I lived through that one as well. And talk about the need for water. When you're running through Death Valley in the middle of summer, you cannot get enough water. But I made that. And then, I thought, well, I ran an ultra marathon in the hottest place on earth. What about the coldest place on earth? And I conceived this marathon to the South Pole. So I flew to Antarctica and was the first person ever to run a marathon to the South Pole on the coldest place on earth. And since that time, I've run on all 7 continents twice now. I've run across Central Asia. I've run across most of Europe. I just got back literally 2 days ago from I can't even remember, from a 100-mile race in Patagonia in Argentina. So Patagonia is the spine of the Andes that run down South America. So I just finished a 100-mile foot race there. And I'm back in Northern California, getting ready to head to the Boston Marathon tomorrow. And that's Dean Karnazes. Oh, also, I guess I'll say I'll plug my book shamelessly. So if you want to read a book, here's two of my books. This is my first one, and this is my most recent one. I've written, how many books have I written? Six books. And this one was a New York Times bestseller, and this one was a bestseller, but only on Amazon. So buy it. Help me out. Yeah.
Let's put those book titles in the chat, please, so everybody can see them. Dean has so many more stories and accomplishments. He ran, I think, 50 marathons in 50 days in 50 states.
Yeah, I did a tour of America, and I ran 50 marathons. You're right, Stuart, in all of the 50 US states in 50 days.
And the list goes on. And, Dean did the 200-mile 4-person relay Dean was the four people who did that. And
it was actually a 12-person relay. I was the 12 people.
Yeah. So the list is unending. And Dean is, you can see, he looks like he's about 28 years old. And, you know, he's getting close to, I think, that 60 number, right?
Well, we're closer to 60 than 50, but when someone asks my age, Stuart, I always ask, are you referring to my chronological age or my biological age? And you know the difference between the two.
Well, let's tell our emissaries that.
Yeah. So basically, you know, your chronological age is the calendar years of your life, and your biological age is a measurement of how equivalent you are to your peers as far as your age. So last time I was checked, I was in my late 30s. So I'm just going to go with that.
Yeah. There's another indicator of your age. It's actually relates to your water. And it's the phase angle of water. And so it's called the impedance of water in your body, and your age by your body. And so my age by my body is, I think, 43. And I'm a few decades older than that. So I like the body age one. I mean, the water age one.
I'm curious, how do you do this test? I've never heard of that. I'm really curious about it.
Look at BIA, body impedance. I forget what accelerator or something is. And I got a guy in the Bay Area that I can connect you with who can do this and can show you about it. And it's pretty fascinating about, your water retention and how much water you actually retain, and like what's the quality of your water. And it's pretty simple, but is
it a kit, Stuart, or do you?
It's a machine, almost like a biofeedback machine, where you put patches on, and then it receives your electrical impulses, and you input your age, and I'll turn you into Ernie Hubbard's the guy who I've done that with. So Dean has the story to share, as you heard, about he had his own awakening in life. And, he was happy. Everything was great. But then the lights got really turned on, and he followed his passion. And that's the key. So as we have been meeting together and talking over the last 6 weeks, as you can see, there is that theme always of what are you passionate about? And when you follow that, everything flows from that. The material wealth, the emotional, the physical, and the spiritual wealth. And so that's what we are wanting to share with you, and have people like Dean know that it's all possible. It's up to you. There are no limits in whatever you envision and whatever you imagine. And we've shared with you, you are our future. And we're depending on you. As I think I've maybe said to you all before, and I'll speak for Dean and me and West, our generation, we didn't realize the impacts that a lot of our actions were going to have on the planet. And we all were focused on having a better life. And we've endowed you all with a very big responsibility. And it's to caretake for the planet and to caretake for each other. And as we see what's going on in the world today with the war in Ukraine, it's just not okay. We can't treat each other this way. It has to end. We have to put down our guns. And we need to open up our arms to each other and care for each other. And so whatever you do in your career, whatever that pursuit is, we wish that you'll always keep that in mind. And what we're looking to have you be part of here, this is community. And while we don't know each other and we've never met each other most in person, that we still have a community here. And as you can see, the way that we have shared with you so deeply and so intimately and so vulnerably, whatever your support is, any way that we can support you, we're going to support you because we care about you. And we know how important you are in your own life and what you're going to do and how you're going to contribute to the world in some meaningful way. And so as this is our last session, we want this to not be our last session, but it's just the closing session of your program, but it's really the beginning of the next steps. And while we have created this, we have no ego involved in Water Emissaries and in it having to be some huge group. we're happy to and would love to partner with other groups, particularly relating to climate change, and collaborate and work together and build our community together and support each other. And Madeline, if you could just share what's going on with you right now with your personal friends, just once again to let people know what's happening there, I think that would be really important and valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I guess the reason why I'm not speaking as much today, I have a very good friend that I found out is like going to an inpatient mental health facility today. And I found out within the last 24 hours. And I know 5 other people that I'm close with or moderately close with this year that have either had to like withdraw from classes or take time off or do things like that. And it's so prevalent with people our age. And I think it's so important to step back and think about, what really matters to you as a person and what matters in your life and what you do with your life, because there's so much pressure on doing the right thing and having the better job and making money and doing these things that we've been so conditioned to. And this goes back to a lot of what we've been talking about with like living in the moment and just being present and understanding that, you can think about the future and you can think about the past, but you're always going to be in the now. And so thinking about what you value and what you want to spend your time doing now is something that I've been thinking a lot about, just in terms of watching other people around me struggling a lot with the pressure that they face, whether that's from school or their parents or getting a job or internships or anything like that. It's just so important to think about what you really care about and what you want to do to leave a mark on the world, because that's what's going to bring you fulfillment and that's what's going to keep you going when things are really difficult. So I guess an update about me and the state of things in general, but it's important to think about, I think, especially with the age group that we are, and everybody is dealing with a lot of pressure with, like I said, grades in school and everything in between, and what really matters to you is much more important, and your health and your well-being are so much more important than any other outside measure of success or anything like that. So
Yes, thank you,
And,
Madeline.
I'll add to that. I'm very much an advocate of running. I don't know how many of you run, but as far as mental health, running it's magic. And people say to me, "Isn't running boring?" And I tell them, "Yeah, it is. That's why I like it." It's good just to be with yourself for a while. So I unplug when I go running. I don't take my phone. I don't listen to music. I'm just alone with my thoughts and can think clearly and freely. We are bombarded, as you guys know, with noise coming at us from the moment we get up. There's clanging alarms, there's alerts, everything else. Everywhere you go, you're just bombarded. And to me, if I can go running for just half an hour by myself, I come back in the door and my whole paradigm has shifted. So running for mental health, and I've seen it with college kids over and over again. When they start running, it really helps. And I would just encourage it. I would, buy some good shoes, spring some money. I know money's tight when you're in college as well, but get some good running shoes so you're comfortable. And you don't have to go fast. You don't have to go far. You just have to go. That's my pitch.
Thank you, Dean.
Sorry to be sermonizing, but I like running.
No, that's beautiful.
Running
That's
saved
beautiful.
me, and it saved a lot of others. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that ties into a lot of other things in life too. You don't have to go fast. You don't have to go far. You just have to go. And like I said, there's just all of these things that tell us we have to get there first, or we have to get there the fastest. And what matters more is what you're doing along the way. So.
Well, and Dean could be running inside of a trainer, which I'm sure maybe sometimes you do, but 99% of your time is running outdoors in nature, connecting to this nature that is the greatest gift ever and is the place for us to connect and to connect with self and connect with everything that's out here. So whatever it is, whether it's running, whether it's swimming, whether it's, biking, playing tennis, just get outside and do something and move and get your body to connect with all the gifts that nature has to give us. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would second that. I mean, have a relationship with nature. I have a very deep relationship with nature. I'm blessed and privileged because I can walk out my front door and there are lots of wilderness trails all around my house, but it's where we came from. And I think to live your entire life in a man-made environment, in a dorm or a house, and then in a car, and then in a classroom, it's really not that healthy. I mean, just let your feet touch the earth. And when I tell my kids that, they're like, "Oh, I'm walking around the house barefoot." I mean, no, ground yourself on some actual ground. So get out and have a relationship with nature. Just enjoy nature for 5 minutes, and you'll see if you do that, you'll feel better.
Hey, Dean, you brought up your kids. Is there anything that you'd like to share as a dad? You've got kids that are, similar age group, and just any experiences or insights you have based on, being a father to two kids, in college age.
Yeah, I mean, there's a saying, I write this in my book, that in school you get the lesson and then you take the test. In parenting, you take the test and then you get the lesson. So, I would have certainly done things differently. I was globetrotting a lot when my kids were younger, but thankfully they seem pretty well adjusted. I mean, they're both college grads, and they both have great jobs in the San Francisco Bay Area. So what matters most is an authentic love for your kids. Kids are very quick, even at a young age, to spot hypocrisy. If you tell them you love them, but you're not always present, and it's not sincere, they see it. And no matter where I was always, my family was always first. They could tell it was my priority, even though I was traveling around the world. And, I got my kids a cell phone when the cell phones first came out. And I'm talking Motorola flip phones. And my wife was so mad at me. She said, "They're so young." And I said, "Well, just watch." And I remember finishing a race across the Sahara Desert and standing at the Giza pyramids at the base, and like FaceTiming my kids and sending them pictures. And they responded right away. They just said, "We're having breakfast. We can't, the pyramids are so big. I can't believe it." So I've really embraced technology as a way to bring us together versus separate us. And I love my kids, as you can tell.
Thanks, Dean. So before Dean goes, because he's got some things to prepare for the Boston Marathon, and he's been so gracious and generous to share this time with us. There are questions, and we'll take a few questions for you all to ask Dean before he leaves us today. I see Christina.
Yeah, so this might not be a very good question, because I think that you have to be pretty fearless to run 130 plus miles in Death Valley. But do you have any tips for, I'm going to use marathons because that's your passion, but for anything in life that could be, our equivalent of a marathon, and they can seem really daunting. Do you have any tips for overcoming fear or overcoming that intimidation at all?
Great question.
That's a really good question. And this is going to sound funny to you, but I get nervous at the beginning of races. And you see all these medals. I mean, I've run over 300 marathons. And when I'm standing at the start of the Boston Marathon, even though I've done it 10 times, I'm still nervous. It's an intense undertaking. And what I do every time is I have the same sort of mantra. I just say to myself, "Dean, today you're going to try your best. You're going to be the best Dean that Dean can be. You're not going to give up, and you're going to leave it all on the course, and you're going to try your hardest." And that's all any of us can do, right? I mean, we can just try our hardest. And if you have that commitment, I'm going to try my hardest, and you do your best to honor that, there's no way you can fail. And the other thing I do is, it's going to get rough at points. I mean, the mile 20, the supposed wall is going to hurt. And I don't run from pain. I'm not afraid of pain. I kind of embrace the pain and welcome it as a challenge, just like anything else. So when things get difficult, I have another motto, embrace the suck. When something's horrible and you're super embarrassed and everything sucks, just say, "Wow, this is great. I love this misery." So I hope that helps.
Only you, Dean.
Thank you.
Embrace the misery. That's great. Who else? Ganji, you always have a question.
I had a similar question, like, how do you stay motivated? Because it's hard, even if you're passionate about something, at points, there are obstacles that are why am I doing this? I should just stop at this point. It's hard to get over them. How do you stay motivated and push yourself to go the extra mile?
That's a really good question. And I've been doing this for wow, Stuart knows my age, but going on 3 decades. So how do you continue doing this for 30 years? And, I have this saying, never stop exploring. So I'm always trying to view what I do through the eyes of a child. I never run the same route 2 days in a row. I literally change up my routes. Some days when I'm training really hard, I'm wearing a watch and I'm very data driven. Other days, I don't even take a watch. I don't care about my pace. I don't care where I go or how long I go. I just go with what feels right. So I think the act of running in itself to me is worthwhile, where a lot of people that I, used to run with, they were very driven by results and, setting a personal best every time they went running, and they burned out. So that's how I've kept it fresh, is just trying to continue exploring and continue being naive.
That's great.
Yeah.
Tom, you have a question?
Yeah, I do actually. I was wondering what was sort of your motivator, or what kept you going before you discovered your passion of running, just like sort of getting through the corporate lifestyle.
Yeah, I had hobbies, and Stuart knows about this. We were both big time windsurfers. So these hobbies were things I loved, but they were also escapes from the corporate world. I didn't like being in the corporate world. I didn't enjoy it. I mean, I would go to business conferences and I could see people were really bubbly and they were really into it. And to me, it was horrible. So there was, yeah, I felt like I was in prison. Yeah, I was making a fat paycheck, and, I was able to pay the bills, that kind of thing. I was able to pay rent, but it was at such a price that I think on my 30th birthday, I just had a reckoning and just said, how are you going to live your life? Are you going to choose a path that you enjoy and that you can explore what you really love? Or are you going to be kind of part of this cog in the wheel and be rich and probably drive a nice fancy sports car when you turn 50 and, have a nice belly and be bald? And I didn't want that life. I wanted just to blaze my own path.
Well, thank you.
What would you say to people that feel like they haven't found their passion yet? Because, I think that it is great to have a passion, but I also think there's a lot of pressure to like find your thing, especially at such a young age. And, going into college, you pick a major and that's sort of expected to be what you do for the rest of your life. So how would you encourage students to, I guess, go off on their own and like discover what they're passionate about? Or what would you say to people that are feeling discouraged?
I would say, yeah, that's a really good question. And I'm kind of, I feel like I'm lecturing you guys, and I hope I'm not coming off that way, because I really have hopefully some just lessons I've learned to share. But one of them is that I didn't start running until I was 30, seriously. So, I didn't know what I wanted to do until I hit 30 years old. And, my wife is a dentist. When she was 6 years old, she knew she wanted to be a dentist. She became a dentist, and she loves being a dentist. She's the only person I've ever known that like her whole life knew what she wanted to be. I didn't. And I think the question to ask yourself is, if tomorrow morning you woke up and you could do whatever the heck it is you wanted to do, what would you do? And the second question is, well, what is holding you back from doing that? And that's just a simple question. And I think that everyone can say, well, gosh, if I wake up tomorrow morning, I'd want to be on a beach in Tahiti, writing travel articles, or I'd want to be working for the Peace Corps. All of us have something that we'd like to do tomorrow. And I think that's kind of your natural calling.
That's a great answer. Hannah, you have a question for Dean?
My question would be, and I guess this might just be more of like a logistical question, but how did you manage to turn running into an actual career to where you were able to do it full time and follow it completely without having to find other income sources?
Yeah, I mean, that's a very valid question, because these ultra marathons that I do, there's really no prize money in it. There's no purse, like if you win a golf tournament or a tennis tournament or something like that. So I kind of said, how are you going to keep the lights on? And I thought, well, maybe you could work with a sponsor. So I approached a company called the North Face, and I said to them, hey, I think people are going to want to start running on trails. Like you're selling a lot of boots for people that are on trails, but like I'm a runner and I enjoy running on the trail. Let's make some trail specific running shoes. So I pitched them. They said, okay, let's try it. And that ended up being successful. I also started speaking, like doing corporate keynotes. So that brought in some revenue. When I wrote my first book, it became an instant New York Times bestseller. And I wasn't anticipating this. So this book here is sold like close to 1 million copies. And royalty checks are pretty nice if you can make that work. So, you know, I've certainly would be probably well off, much better financially if I had stayed in the corporate world, but I have no regrets whatsoever.
Amen. Alejandro, you have a question for Dean? Maybe not. How about Hope? Any question you have for Dean?
I did have one question. Personally, I've been trying to get more into running myself. I mean, not like seriously, like I'm not I'm not a very consistently fit person, although I'd like to be. And I've noticed one thing about my progress personally is that I struggle with motivation, but more importantly, I've struggled overall with self-discipline rather than motivation. So I was wondering if you had any tips regarding like self-discipline instead of like trying to find the motivation, because sometimes you have to do things even when you don't have motivation, whether it's like being physically fit or work or anything like that. So I was wondering if you had any tips regarding self-discipline specifically.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to running, for me at least, 80 or 90% of the battle is just getting out the front door, like getting the motivation to just start moving. And typically once you start moving, it builds on itself. So I use a technique that's called forward projection. And basically that's a catchy term for just projecting how much better you'll feel when you've accomplished what's before you. So, and using that to motivate you to start to get going. Because a lot of times, you know, we just hate doing something so much. We don't do it. And the tension builds. And if we can just start one step, you know, just slowly chipping away at it, it becomes easier. So, you know, there's an African proverb, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. I don't really like that proverb because I'm a vegetarian, but other than that, it serves its purpose.
Great, Dean. Shelby, Leah, you guys have a question for Dean before he heads out?
Yeah. You've done like so much in your life. I was just wondering, like, what are you most proud of? Like, what do you look back on and you're like, that was like one of my greatest moments?
I think being a good dad. I think that any dad can relate to those words. It's what I take most seriously. And yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of great distinctions. I mean, I've been one of Time Magazine's 100 most influential people in the world. But it's not those big, grand moments that you remember in your life. It's just the little quirky things, you know, like having a picnic with my family one time, and a storm came through. We were in the Canadian Rockies having a great picnic, and this one storm cloud in the sunniest day ever just dumped rain on us. And just looking back at that, and we giggled, and it was just so much fun. So it's those little moments that that last with me more than the big moments.
Sorry, I have just one question. So I know you said you were really enthusiastic to quit your corporate job and start running. I was just curious if everyone in your life was like okay with that, and if people weren't, how did you kind of deal with it?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll start by just clarifying. I was terrified to quit my corporate job. I'll be honest, I had no idea what I was going to do. So it was the most, harrowing thing ever to set my own path. Nowadays, like with the gig economy, it's much more accepted and it's much more commonplace. Like a lot of people have, multiple jobs they're doing that as like contractors and this and that. But when I did it, when I chose my career path, it was it was less common and almost unheard of. What would I do differently? What was the second part of the question? Sorry, I just ran 100 miles in South America, so I can't remember.
You're fine. I was just curious how you kind of like dealt with that. Like, I know you said you were terrified, but like
family. Yeah. Thankfully, my family embraced my running. My wife, when I told her I was going to, I sat down with her in the kitchen. I'll never forget this. And I thought, oh, when I tell her I'm quitting my job, she's going to say, what the heck are you thinking? And she looked at me, she said, I wonder what took you so long. So she knew I wasn't happy doing what I was doing. And having that sort of support was fantastic. And then I would engage my family in these, like, if you read my books, you'll see they're stories about family more than anything else. Like my family would come along with me on these grand adventures, and they'd follow me, through the wilderness for 100 miles at certain various points. And we had a lot of wonderful memories of travel and exploration. So I did, my friends changed a little bit because, when you're spending 5 or 6 hours a day running, you're not quite as social as you used to be. But I think I'm an introvert by nature, as Stuart mentioned. So I'm comfortable with literally I am way more comfortable running for 4 hours up in the wilderness than I am right now in front of this camera looking at you guys.
It's so beautiful, Dean. Your message of really family is core, which comes back to, they're your inner community, but we're building our own family here for us to be of support to each other and share our stories and be there when you need it, because everybody needs it at some point. We all go through our stuff. So I want to take a deep bow of gratitude to Dean for joining us and sharing his story with us, his inspiration, and buy his books. I support Dean to continue running, and hopefully you'll be hearing of him in the future in some of our engagements together as we continue to build our community together. And we're going to stay on emissaries. We're going to go through other parts of our session. Dean, you're welcome to stay on, but I assume you got other things to...
I've got to run.
Yeah.
Thank you all for your time and best wishes to you.
Thank you, Dean.
Thank you so much, Dean.
Aloha. So I'm not sure, Madeline or Caroline, if you want to bring up the slide about us talking about our closing session and aspects.
Yes, absolutely.
How'd you guys like Dean? Amazing guy, huh?
I feel like I'm about to sneeze and I'm not sure. Sorry, that was why I paused. Okay, welcome. We have our emissaries in action, our final session for you tonight. We are so grateful to have had all of you participate and come on this journey with us over the past couple of months. Like we said at the beginning, we're a fairly young organization, and it really means a lot to have you stick with us throughout the process and be open to, seeing where things go and learning from all of the different speakers that we've had. It's been really incredible to have you join us. We have a couple of different ways that you can continue to stay involved. Oopsies. First, we have a couple of reminders. So we have our Facebook and GroupMe for you to join as just a way to sort of loosely stay in touch with each other. We'll be posting things about upcoming events and ways for you to stay in contact. This isn't our primary mode of engaging you, but it's a way to just sort of stay in a group with everybody. So if you look up Water Emissaries Alumni on Facebook, that should come up for you. And then we have our GroupMe We also have our emissary portal that we are working on building out to add more content to. And we also have our recordings of previous sessions from our first cohort, if you have an interest in watching those. There's some difference in topics and speakers. So that's another great place to learn from. And then we finally have The Well, which is an incredible group of people. Many of the speakers that we've had with us over the past couple of months are from The Well. And we want to remind you that The Well is also a resource for you, and these mentors and these speakers are here for you. So if there is anybody that has been involved in the program or that you have seen on the Water Innovation Advisors website, we want to connect you with them, and they want to be mentors to you and help you with whatever you need in your career, because they're passionate about providing you guys with guidance and helping you, change the world into the future. So a couple of opportunities for continued engagement. Internships, if anybody is looking for a summer internship, we are looking for people to join the team this summer to help with marketing and also with some logistical stuff. So we would love to have you join the team in that capacity if you're interested. It's a really great place to get to really explore what you're interested in and learn. We also have the Water Emissaries campus hubs. So if you're interested in starting a group on your campus that's specifically for water and climate change and emotional and mental well-being and all of those things, we would love to support you in doing that on your campus. I think that there's a lot of groups that are doing things related to all of those ideas separately, but there aren't a lot of people that are bringing them together. And so it's so important to understand that, taking care of yourself is also taking care of your peers, is also taking care of the planet. And those things all go together in hand to such an extent. We also have our summer session coming up. If you know anybody that would be interested in joining the program, we would love to see them apply. We're looking at doing it in the middle of the summer this year so that people that are in school would have more time to be engaged because they will not be in school. And then we will also be sending out a feedback form for you to just hear a little bit more about your experiences. And then we will also have additional, networking and workshop sessions in the future, whether that's something like Water Emissary study break and with a speaker like Geeta, something that's focused on well-being, or coming to something that's a little bit more career focused. There are a lot of opportunities as well to learn more in that capacity. So that was a lot of rambling, but if anybody has any questions about any of those ways to stay engaged, we'd love to talk to you about that, and hear also any feedback that you have now.
Also, we're going to be sharing with you I don't know if we want to call it a questionnaire, but just feedback that we'll send you by email that I would say request, and I would like to be so bold to say require for you to fill in, because we want feedback from you. We want to know, what did you like, what worked, what didn't work, what did you want more of, what do you want less of, what other ideas do you have? As I have shared with you, this is for you. So we want this to be as rich and rewarding as it can be for you and for future emissaries. And candidly, we haven't figured out the formula for how do we continue to build our community. We'd like to have that answer right now. We don't, but any ideas, creatively, crazy ideas you have for us to continue to build this community with, it's your community, for you to connect with each other. And as Madeline said, it's about your school, it's about your career. It's just really about you as a human being, as a person. And while it may sound crazy, if you have an issue that comes up, I mean, we're here to support you in whatever we can, because as I've said, we all have it. It just, stuff comes up, whether we get sick, whether we get lonely, whether we get hurt, whatever it is that comes up, it comes up. And a lot of times it's easiest just to go within and close down and shut down, but that's not the way that you get the support and the healing and the love that you all want. So we sincerely mean it, that whatever way we can support you, we want to do that. And we are here for you now and into the future. Caroline, any things that you want to comment on?
Not really. I think you guys covered everything. I'm really excited to, see where you guys go from here and see how you guys continue to get involved.
Great. West, any thoughts from you?
Yeah, just appreciative to see people interested in water. And, sort of as Dean was saying, he reached his breaking point at 30. I reached mine at 40, where I was teaching at a university and had a company of my own, and just gave it all up to spend a decade on the North Shore of Kauai in Hawaii. And that's strangely, or maybe not so strangely, when I wrote my 3 books, which took me a totally different path with regard to water. And it was probably much more of a personal path than it was certainly a corporate path or even a university related path. It was one that I hadn't planned on, and one that very much deviated from sort of my background. I'm the son of 2 teachers, who taught for 40 or 50 years, but there was something within me that said, I need to do something else. So as you look forward to your careers in water, keep in mind that what you have in mind now is very likely not going to be where you end up, just because changes in yourself, changes in the world, and just life itself is going to open up different doors for you. And don't hesitate to go through those doors when they open, even though they may seem somewhat unconventional.
Thank you, West. Any comments, thoughts, questions?
Just thank you guys for creating this space for people who are passionate about water to come together, because sometimes it feels like a very small world.
You're welcome. It's a small world getting much larger and more connected.
I'll also say too, for anybody that's doing research or projects or anything like that, we want to see them and we want to see what you're up to and what you're doing. And we would love to put them on our social media accounts and share them on LinkedIn and with the people that are following what we're doing, because that's, direct impact that you're making in water and in work. So that's, we're excited to see what you're doing and where you go from here, whether it is water related or not. We would love to see what you guys are up to going into the future.
Yeah, and it's not only water, it's water in all the places that water touches in our lives, which is pretty much everywhere. Yeah. What I really would love some ideas about, what do you think about how we can expand the community and connect with potentially other communities, and to have an ongoing connection with each other? What ideas, thoughts? We need some input from you all about this. Tom, any ideas?
I'm thinking. I don't have any off the top of my head, honestly.
Okay. Hannah, any thoughts from you?
I guess I'm kind of thinking, so how do you guys, I guess, reach students in all these different universities? I'm just thinking about my own personal experience. I was just on Canvas for one of my classes and my professor made an announcement, but of course I go to American, which I know is where Madeline goes. So I was just curious as to how you guys usually do reach into these different universities and reach out to all these different students from across the country.
Madeline, you want to answer that?
Yeah, so our primary recruitment strategy has just been contacting as many people as we can at as many schools as we can. And we've reached out to people in departments ranging from, yes, like water and climate and environment, but also engineering and business and everything like that. And so I think it definitely depends on the level of promotion, depends on how invested the professors that are teaching these classes and getting the information are in water and the environment sector. But that's something that we're also open to learning more about if anybody has any
Definitely.
ideas of the best way to reach students, because we've struggled a little bit, I think, we know that there are people out there that have a vested interest in becoming part of this community and learning more about it and really engaging with it. And it's difficult to find those students because it's, we've definitely gotten better with water and climate activism, but it's still not as at the forefront of what we're doing as it should be. And so I think that it's harder to find those people that fit that niche just because it isn't something that's being super widely promoted like other areas of focus are still.
Yeah, I mean, the most effective way is through, I'll call it network. And for you all to, when you talk with your friends about being part of this program, if they care about water and climate change and they would be interested in the program, please let them know. And if, once again, if there's a professor that you have that you think should know about this program so he can share it with his students, let us know that. For the summer program, we'll copy you all on an email that we'll be sending out for us, so you can have that and you can share it with friends and or professors. And that would be great. We originally had a vision, and we still have the vision, it just hasn't manifested yet, of creating clubs, groups on campus where you get together in a physical world, which hopefully we're going to continue doing, and connect with each other on issues that really matter to you. And once again, while it may not just be water, but if we bring it to the bigger picture of climate change, I don't think there's one of you that isn't concerned about climate change and willing to do something in your lives that is going to help us get out of the situation we're in, because it's going to take us and it's going to take you to have that leadership. And as you all know, you all are influencers for not only your peers but also your family, right? I mean, your parents maybe aren't as dialed in and clued in as you are about what's going on, and you have a very powerful voice with them. And as I've said to you before, you as a consumer, that's the most powerful voice you have. Every day voting with whatever products you purchase, for you to purchase products that are more aligned with your values and knowing how they're caring for people on the planet. So that's really critical. One other piece I just want to emphasize is that for us in the program, it's really important for us to get testimonials from each of you. So as part of the questionnaire that we'll send to you, there is a testimonial part of that, and really value that and having you be part of that. And we will have you on the Water Emissaries website as the alumni and part of the group going forward. And, if there's anyone you want to connect with through the emissaries, if you can't connect with them directly, you let us know and we'll connect you with them. And as you can hear constantly, it's all about community, right? That's what we're doing. We're building community and providing that community for you, that really we want you to provide this community and for you to be active and take whatever leadership and ownership you want in this community. And maybe one of you will be inspired to run a race and raise funds for whatever the cause is that it is, whether it's clean water or sanitation hygiene or it's climate change. But we want to hear those stories, and we want to know that you're doing this, and we can help you maybe raise money for it and go to our community. So it always comes back to this community, and we're here wanting to support each other and build this community and expand it as widely as we can. And any ideas you have how you could do this or might want to do this on your college campuses, that would be hugely helpful. There's a group that we just got introduced to called New Leaders. That is not just college students, but it's college students and then students just out of just into the workplace, that we're looking at hopefully partnering with them. They started like us as water emissaries with really one group, and in 2 years they've now got 50 groups around America. So maybe we'll partner with them and leverage that community and that network. And then also, if any of you are interested, we are having internships for the summer, and we'd love to have any of you that are interested in interning with us and have specific goals and skills and areas of focus that you'd like to have, as well as all the other groups that you met at the career fair. And anybody that you have an interest in, do let us know. We'll connect with them. And if you're interested in us, let us know what you'd like to do with water emissaries. And it's not just the emissaries, but it's the Water Innovation Accelerator. And then I've talked to you all about, we're going to be launching a water token and water coin is called Hydro DAO, Distributed Autonomous Organization. And so that we're in the early stages of really building all of that out. So we're going to need help in every dimension of that as a real startup. So that's another opportunity for you to be engaged with us. Anyone else? How about any parting words? How about if everybody just shares whatever you want to share before we all say good day or good night?
I'd like to say I'm really grateful for this group because I got to learn a lot, meet a lot of people, and I'm new to this country, so I had a really good experience. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I'm really appreciative as well, and for all the programming, particularly bringing in some of the wellness aspects. Yeah, some of the wellness and connecting that with water and just sort of the greater ecology of the earth. It's not something that I had thought of before, and is definitely something that I'll keep with me as I move forward in life.
That's great to know, Tom. Thank you.
Yeah, I would also agree with what Tom was saying. I didn't really know exactly what I was going to be getting into when I joined until I was actually in it. And I realized that there's so much more to water than just the chemical composition. And there's a lot more of all of us invested in water. It's everywhere. It's in all of us. It really brought the whole idea of water and all the aspects of it so close together. And I didn't even think of all the different aspects of it. And I feel like I just really got a great perspective. So, yeah.
That's great, Hope. Thank you.
If I could just go off of that, yeah, I agree with both the people before me. I feel like it's very easy, to get locked into just looking at the science of water, which obviously is very important and gives us a lot of information, but learning a lot more about the spirituality and how we can connect with water each and every day, even with all the little things that we do every day, and to just have a lot more consideration for the actions that we're taking, however small, I think has been pretty incredible. So I feel like I'm a lot more conscious of those things now than I was before.
Great, Hannah. Thank you.
Yeah, I know I already said this already, but I really am a firm believer in a holistic approach to water. And so this was a really unique experience to really get there's so much more to water too, but to really get different experiences with water in different contexts was really helpful. And also just to I guess a feedback note to you guys as well. I feel like this was a good level of addition to my workload now. If anything more was just too much, but anything less is so I felt like this was also just a good amount of commitment to add on to a very busy workload. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, just to add on to that, this program for me has really been a break from my workload and a de-stressor rather than adding stress to my life. And I also think it's just a lot of the speakers, especially the speaker today, just really putting emphasis on how it's really just the beginning, because it's so easy to get overwhelmed by the college life. That was really important for me.
Great.
That's great to hear. Thank you.
Just to kind of reiterate what everyone's saying, I was really appreciative of this just to be exposed to all these new ideas that I otherwise wouldn't have been able to learn about. So all the speakers and all the time spent doing this, I really appreciate it and enjoyed. So thank you.
Thank you, Shelby. Christina, are you still with us? Maybe not. Alejandro, are you there?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I like everyone else has said, I'm very grateful for the program, and I've really enjoyed the interdisciplinary nature of how a different session focuses on a different specialization of water. I think that's really been eye-opening.
Great, thank you. There's someone that shows up as Zoom user. I'm not sure who that is. Doesn't have a name. Are you still there? That link and email would be. Yeah, so who can you speak up, whoever is listed as Zoom user? So you put something in the chat. Okay. All right, it's Ramadan.
That's all right.
Understand.
You don't have to
You don't
leave
have to
your
break-
family.
Yeah, you don't have to break your fast by by zooming in with us. And Christina. Oh, that's you, Christina. I'm sorry. Yes, I see you there. Yeah, you already commented. Great. Well, wonderful. So good to have you all express yourselves and share. And we'll be sending you a follow-up for just answering some of these questions and giving us a testimonial. And we'll keep you up to date with activities that we've got going forward in the summer session. And we look forward to hearing from you and having you stay engaged and letting us know how we can support you in whatever way that is in your career and in your life.
I can speak now. I went to a new room.
Okay, great.
Okay, but yeah, I was gonna say, like, everyone's kind of hit the spot on the experience factor of it. When I got my bachelor's and I'm doing marine science and I'm super interested in the world of water, but I never really broke it down to the tiny little details of it all. And so being able to take a step away from the broad aspect of just, coastal science, coastal marine science, and look at water beyond just a whole body of water, like, the ocean, was truly eye-opening. Like, I will never forget one of the first meetings that we had where he was talking, I don't remember his name, but he was talking about water quality and how we're not cleaning water properly. I'm so sorry, I forget his name.
Bob,
But
I think it was Bob Bocock.
Yeah.
But from that first meeting and take the dirt out, from that first moment of hearing about how important understanding water is first, and the way that it's a universal solvent, the way it breaks everything down can help us further understand the anthropogenic impacts that we are having on the ocean. And that's a gigantic body of water. So I'm really thankful. I had zero idea what I was getting into joining these meetings, but I'm actually really glad. And like, they've always intersected with work or something. Like, every single time I've had a meeting, that's always intersected. I've always had to join just a couple minutes late, but I'm really thankful for every meeting that I've been able to join, because I've always come out of it learning something. So it's no regrets.
Wonderful, thank you. West, any comments for you?
No, it's been fun. It's been interesting to hear, all the emissaries' reactions and the questions that they've asked, and I think I've enjoyed interacting and listening to the questions and answers. Some of the speakers I've heard before, but it's always interesting to hear how new ears who hear them respond and what comes up and what's important, and it clues me in as to questions that I can ask even about my work that I haven't asked before. you know, I've said a couple times that one of the biggest eye openers I've had as a scientist is to actually work with artists on, you know, water issues, and that their view, their different perspective of water has really impacted me in terms of how I look at it as a scientist. And I think that, you know, the more people from different backgrounds and different perspectives and, you know, things like that, that come together to look at water and deal with water, the more effective and the better the solutions that we'll have to come up with dealing with it.
Thank you, West. Carolyn, I know you had some parting comments. Anything else you want to add?
I agree with what everyone's been saying. Even though, you know, I help plan the programs, I'm still participating and I can still listen to the speakers and take a lot out of it and learn from it. So I've really enjoyed the process. I've enjoyed getting to know all the other emissaries and watching them go through the program. And it's just been a great experience overall.
Thank you, Caroline, for all that you do. You've been awesome. And Miss Madeline.
Oh my gosh, I don't know. I'm grateful for everybody that has participated in the program and been here. I think I've been with Water Emissaries besides Stuart for the longest, so I've really seen things sort of change and grow over the past year, and it's been really, really amazing to watch it manifest into what we've created and to hear how exciting it is for everybody else to, you know, take such a different approach to learning about water, because like I said, there's so, you know, humans love to categorize themselves and divide themselves into sections, and we love to divide things into sections too. And so with water, I feel like there's this like spiritual and natural aspect of it that people learn about, and there's also sort of the scientific aspect of it, and there aren't a lot of places that are bringing it together. And so it's really great to know that the idea of learning about all aspects of it, physical, metaphysical, and whatever else, are really impactful for people. And I'm grateful that all of you have stuck it out with us and that you were able to get something out of it.
Beautiful. Well, I think it was Winnie the Pooh that says ta-ta for now. And it's, you know, it's not the end, it's just the next chapter for us together, and we look forward to that. So we're here for you. Don't hesitate to reach out, and as I said, you'll be getting an email from us to answer some closing questions and get your testimonials. And here's the water. Go get wet. Get in nature and get wet. So thank you all. And thanks to Madeline and Caroline for making all this happen. They were so committed and put in so much time and effort to this. And they get the kudos for making this be as successful as it's been.
Thank you, Stuart.
Okay, ta-ta for now.
All right, thank you, everybody. We will see you soon in some capacity or another. Have a great night and a great rest of your semester and wherever else you end up in the coming months.